live, but I'm sideways. Why am I sideways? It's... Oh god, it's doing that thing again. I want to see if it's sideways for you guys, because on my screen I'm completely the wrong orientation. Okay. Yep, it shows me live. I think I got someone in here. Okay, so real quick question. Am I sideways on your screen? Am I like going the wrong way? Whoever you are, welcome. I don't know why it's orienting me this way. But yeah, if you're live out there in the chat, please let me know if I'm sideways, because I need to fix that. If I look fine, then I'll just plow on through this thing. If not, then I need to get it fixed. It looks like there's someone in here. Okay. Alright, thank you. It looks good. Okay, it's just on my screen then. It looks like I'm all cattywampus. Cool. Alright, so we can get started. Welcome to the Reza Guitars and Effects first live stream on Twitch. Today, well, first off, let's start with the music playing in the background. I don't know if you can hear it very well, but I got some... It's called Dark Blues, I guess, done by Justin Johnson. Really good YouTuber, great blues player, does a lot of slide, and even makes his own guitars, like shovel guitars and stuff. Anyway, I want to get that out of the way so that this video doesn't get pulled for copyright. It's all his music, he owns it. It's on his channel. Next, let's talk about what I'm doing today. Today I'm going to be working on this little guy right here. It is going to be essentially like a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier circuit. Like the preamp and power amp circuit together. So it should sound like that really good 90s and early 2000s like heavy metal kind of stuff. Talking like, you know, Disturbed, Metallica, Iron Maiden, whatever, just some real crunchy tones of this thing, like real heavy stuff. And let me show you a little bit about my setup here. You can already see this little guy right here that's going to hold the circuit board. Real handy dandy. It's got a light right there. And some of these little helping hands. Off to the side, I got my soldering station. Got a fan blowing this way for all the fumes. I got a little sucker vacuum on this side to blow it out a window. And I like to organize my stuff, make it nice and easy for me to get things, all these little compartments inside of this tackle box, this parts box, has everything I need from all my resistors, capacitors, everything. So the first step that I normally do when I'm soldering a PCB is I like to put on these sockets. These are IC sockets. Basically where the little ICs, the chips, are going to go. In this case, I'm going to be putting some TL072s on here. Since they have, whoop, there it goes. Since they have so many pins, oh boy, got it. Since they have so many pins, it's a pain in the butt to solder them in and then realize that the chip is bad and have to take them out. And since a lot of the chips out there are different, different values, different wiring, all that stuff, or different traces, excuse me, not wiring, it's hard to find a tester for all the many different chips out there. So instead, we solder these in sockets, and then we just plug in the chip on top. And if it's bad, we pull it out, throw it away, put a new one in, easy peasy. The reason I like to solder the sockets in first is because, see, the socket would go in here, and there are lots of little components all around it. Well, I like to get the big fat thing done first, so that I know exactly how much space I'll be working with all the other components that go on the side. So this one takes 3 TL072 chips, so I'm going to solder 3 of those sockets. I got a whole box full of them. Very, very cheap on Amazon or any electronic store. Today, my drink of choice is, I don't know if it's pronounced Bon Viv or Bon Vive, because Bon Vive is French for good life, I believe. Only had 1 semester of French, but got pear and elderflower flavor. It is a hard seltzer. Please drink responsibly. Okay. So what I do with step 1 when soldering these sockets in there is I'll flip it upside down and place it on a flat surface so that the pins don't move around on the back, and I can just solder them one at a time. Whoopsie. Something's going on here. They don't want to stay down or stay in. Hope everybody's having a lovely day today. Hey, we got somebody else in the chat. Welcome. What are you guys drinking for refreshments today? Okay, so got my soldering iron nice and warm. Ooh, before I get started, it's important that we observe safety. Hey, we got a third person, welcome. Safety first, everybody. Solder and flux and all that stuff tends to jump around depending on the heat that you got and the quality of your stuff. So, safety first. Okay, let's get these sockets soldered in. Right here I got very thin, I think it's about 22 gauge, I don't know, 0.6 millimeter. It's 60% tin, 40% lead with a 2.2% flux core. But what I do for the bulk of my solder, because this is so thin, it just kind of like, I'll chew through it a lot, is I have this big spool of real fat solder right here. This one, on the other hand, is 99% tin, 0.3% silver, and 0.7% copper with rosin flux core. So what I'll do is, if I don't have any solder on here already, I'll just take a little bit of this real fat one right here until there's a little glob. See, I pre-glob it right there, and then I'll use that as the base so that when I'm actually using the good solder, I don't chew through as much of this. So it may work for you, it may not. It's a little thing that I do. I know you guys can't see this right now, but once I get these sockets put in, I should be able to mount it up here. So I'm using gravity to help me put them where I need them. And of course I moved it so they fell back out. How's the weather where everybody's at? Over here, it's a decently sunny day. However, the wind in Wyoming is crazy. Always, always crazy. A light breeze is about like 18 miles an hour. So I got the corners of 2 of the sockets done. And a little too much solder left on my iron, so I'm going to clean it off. I apparently cleaned off too much of it because now I'm chewing through this stuff like I said before. Okay, so what I did was I just got one of the corners, top left, bottom right, that kind of thing, of each of the sockets, so that way they stay in place. Now I can manipulate it as freely as I want on this little gadget. Right about there, I suppose. So now to get the rest of the pins for the sockets. Because of my setup, I have to have a fan. My solder fume sucker is not big enough or powerful enough. Plus also if it was, then it would be incredibly loud. But because I have to have a fan, it tends to mess with the heat of the soldering iron. So sometimes, since it's directly in the path of the air, I get a less than satisfactory solder joint. So if you require a fan yourself, just know that could be an issue. But it's better than breathing in the fumes. You can get yourself some pretty good asthma problems with it. The fumes that come off the soldering iron, for those that don't know, it's actually the rosin, the flux, which is kind of like an acid. It's that boiling off. It's not actually any of the. Oops, I just soldered 2 joints together on accident. There we go. But yeah, it's the acid essentially boiling off. It's not the actual lead or tin or anything that you're breathing in, but as you can probably guess, it's not very good breathing in boiled off acid. So I tend to hold my breath when I'm actually soldering, just in case. Doing it every once in a while. You don't necessarily need one of those fume fans, or vacuums rather, but if you're going to make it a habit of soldering things, if you like to tinker, or if it's part of your job, you're going to want to take care of yourself. I don't think lung transplants are very fun or cheap. Okay. So I've got the sockets on there. Like I said, the little TL072 chips, which I have a bunch of them in this bag right here, are going to get slotted into there, but we're going to wait till the end for that. These chips are in a static resistant bag so that you don't accidentally ruin them as a precaution. So I'm going to leave them off of here so that I don't cause any static while I'm working with this, manipulating. So the next thing I'd like to move on to after getting those big things in there so that way I know exactly how much room I have to work with is the littler things like resistors. In this case, I'll be using 1/8 watt resistors, which are pretty small. I know it's not going to focus very well for you, but they're pretty small. I tend to label them, or first off, label everything. Absolutely everything. You might be able to tell, but on all the little components there's a value written of what it is. I also label the actual components. Sometimes I make up a little piece of paper and toss it in the compartment that it's sitting in. Label everything, it'll make your life easier. But I also tend to go from lowest value to highest value. So right now we're going to start with the lowest value that I have on this PCB, which is 1K for the resistors. We're going to go ahead and bend these little legs like so. Find the 1K. There's actually 5 of them per circuit board. Just slot it in like so. And then I bend the back outward like that. I bow it outward so that way it doesn't fall out. So now I got 4 more of these 1Ks to find, so let me quickly just get these slotted in. Alright. So I'm pretty new to Twitch. I've only used it a few times, and this is the first time I'm going live with it. Is it anybody else's first time using Twitch? Some of the little finer things about Twitch are a little alien to me, so it's going to be a learning experience. Like I said earlier, for example, I'm sideways on my screen for some reason. But as long as it's showing up correctly for you guys, that's all good. I can live with it. There's a 1K. There are lots of different ways to not automate, but to kind of do your processes when doing a lot of soldering. For example, I could put all the resistors on here and then on the back just go one at a time, solder, 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 solder. I don't like doing that. It tends to be quicker, yes, in the end, but I don't like doing that because of all these little legs hanging out the back there. They get in the way, and especially if you wear gloves that, you know, kind of bunch up a little bit. It just makes it a pain in the butt. So I'm going to be putting some of these resistors on here, like I just did all 5 of the 1Ks, and then I'll probably do a couple more values. Then I'll solder them, clip all the legs off the back, and then continue on. So next up we got 4.7K. In this build I need 2 of them. I know that because I wrote it down. Write everything down, label everything. It'll make your life easier. I always use a 4.7K resistor for LEDs. So I know that one of these is for the LED, and the other is just for the regular circuit. Now, I am no, grand designing engineer or anything. I did not reinvent the wheel with this. Like I said, this is the circuit from a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier. Hey, we got someone else in the chat. Welcome. Yeah, I did not design this. You can easily go online and type in schematics for a dual rectifier, and boom, there it is, which is awesome. Then what I do after that, because if you're gonna reinvent the wheel, it's got to be a pretty darn good wheel, or it's got to do something different and unique. And like there are some like if I try and do an overdrive pedal, there's about 10 billion of them out there already. And so to figure out something new and unique is if I'm honest, beyond my capability right now, because there are just so many of them. Even if I stumble onto something, it's like, oh, look at this. Well, actually, that's this guy's, design. Okay, cool, whatever. So I'm not doing anything groundbreaking here. I took the schematic, went on to jlcpcb.com, or there's like dozens of websites out there. You plug in the schematic, and then it comes up with, you have to put all the parameters. For example, like I want the traces to be 2 millimeters or 1.6 millimeters or whatever you decide, and how many layers. For me, I tend to do 2 layers, one on top, one on bottom for the traces. It's generally pretty cheap that way. You can get up to like, I don't know, a dozen layers or something like that, where the spaces in between have their own little trace networks and whatnot. That's if you've got like crazy microchips and you need to make a very small PCB, but you line everything up where you want it to go. You can hit okay, trace it based on the schematic, and then it'll connect everything where it needs to connect with the 2 layers. I selected 2 layers anyway, top and bottom, for the traces. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. There you go. You got a design. Then you just tell them how many I want, blah blah blah. They ship it to you, and you're off to the races. But you can also specifically design the different printings on here and whatnot, so you can actually put like the values of everything inside of all the spots. You don't have to just have resistor 1, resistor 2, resistor 3, because then you need a chart for that, and I'm all about making life easier. So I just put the values directly on there. It's like, okay, I know the 4.7 goes there because it says 4.7. So I'm not reinventing the wheel with this one. Oh, okay. So there should be 6. Next, I'm putting up 10K resistors. And then I think after these, after these, I'll probably solder what I have on here, clip it, and then continue on. You can always, and this is what people do all the time with clones and whatnot. And there's no shame in doing any of this stuff. You can always, modify one of the current designs out there. Like, let's say you like the Blues Driver, BD2, but maybe you just want it a little harder edged, or maybe you wanted, X, Y, or Z. There are lots and lots of ways to modify things out there. Why am I doing 10K? And there's absolutely no harm in that either. See, now things are starting to get in the way of my gloves here. It's doing that thing I was talking about. Hey, we got more people in chat. Welcome. For those of you just joining us, first things first, the music we're listening to, I don't know how well you guys can hear it, is a playlist called Dark Blues to Escape To by Justin Johnson. Real good player. He has his own YouTube channel, that's what I'm listening in on. I recommend checking his stuff out. Does a lot of slide guitar. Real cool stuff. Nextly, I am working on basically a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier in a box. Fuzz Plays, hey, welcome. Glad you guys could join. This is really cool. So I started out by putting some IC or chip sockets on here. Put those first. Now I'm putting on a slew of resistors next. I like to do the smaller pieces. Once I throw on these 10K resistors on here, I'm gonna solder what I got, clip all that nasty stuff hanging down, and then I'll be able to continue. Hey Scott, welcome. What were you sorting out? Okay, there's one more. Where are ya? This is like a Where's Waldo. I know you're here. Oh, there you are. Sometimes it really is like a Where's Waldo. Yeah, that happens. You don't have to be old to forget your password. Trust me. I forget everything under the sun. My soldering station went into sleep mode. Basically, it goes at like half temperature for a while. So I gotta wait for it to get back up to speed real quick. Perfect time to take a drink. Nathan! Hey, buddy. How go the enclosures? I know you're talking about moisture being your enemy. Okay, I'm gonna have to move my light just a little bit because it's getting in the way. that didn't change too much on the screen. While I'm at it, I'll just clip these two. Alright. Yeah, lots and lots of work to do with these pedals. Honestly, making the enclosures is my least favorite part. I could design. I say design, but I was just talking about how like I don't really reinvent the wheel. I could design, solder, do all that stuff just fine. Be perfectly cogent and okay with it, but man, I don't know what it is about the kind of like the arts and crafts part of making a pedal. It just, I don't know. Still fighting, putting in the clear coat, you know. And the thing that kills me about making the enclosures and all that is the wait time. It's like, okay, I did one thing, and now I have to wait 24 hours to do the next thing. And oh, during that 24 hours, it got a little moisture, or it got a little dust, or my cat walked into the room, and now there's cat hair in it, and then you gotta start all over. It sucks. Today I'm doing what I'm calling the Rekt, because it is essentially a copy of the circuitry in a Mesa Boogie Dual rectifier. So it's a play on the word resurrect and rectifier. That's what I'm doing today. I gathered all the parts and bits and bobs and all that stuff for 11 of them. I've started ordering. Hi, Ashley. I started ordering 11 of my PCBs because 10 is a good round number to make and sell and all that stuff, and hopefully all 10 of them work. So it gives me a little wiggle room there. But the 11th one's for Daddy. I got 6 people. Yeah, 100% Nathan. The wait is just it sucks. Waiting for all the parts and lacquers and everything to be ready. And then, like I said, if you screw up, yeah. Yeah, a $20 little toaster oven's a good way to speed some of those processes up. Oh, thanks. I have some sweet enclosures. Well, I have like one sweet enclosure. The one with the nebulist, I spent a lot of time and effort and a lot of headache with that one. I was just casually walking through Walmart, and I noticed the glow-in-the-dark paint, and I was like, oh my goodness. So that was a happy accident right there. It did add an extra 24 hours to making the enclosures, but those ended up actually coming out very, very well for me, compared to like this new set of apocalyptics that I'm working on. I'm trying to put them in a smaller enclosure. The problem is the enclosure is it's like rough. It's like kind of pitted a little bit. And what that is doing with my transfer sheets, which is what I use to put the artwork on there, is making my life miserable because moisture gets trapped underneath in those little pits, and I've already had to undo 2 of my essentially newer prototypes for the Apocalypse stick. So it's a bummer. But yeah, the whole enclosure portion of making pedals is like my least favorite part. Oh, Nathan's got my pedal on his bench right now. Oh, so lovely. So let's see. By the way, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. During quarantine, things get a little lonely, but I don't know. It's just cool to talk shop with some of you guys, and a lot of the stuff that I've been saying so far, I've repeated in the past. So apologies if you've heard it before, but I'm also saying things for anybody that could be either brand new or, this is the first time I'm streaming on Twitch, so if anybody goes back and watches the old videos on Twitch, then that's why I'm kind of repeating some of the stuff I've said before. Bake the water slide on, main reason for a toaster oven, yep. Ah, got it, first place. See, I figured you were from the jump, I wasn't quite sure which person. Only so many people have bought the pedal, so... let's... Man, these little legs are all over the place. I was reading up the makeup of these legs. Oh god, I don't know, a couple of months ago, just because. And they're actually made with like 6 or 7 different metals, including like palladium. I was like, oh, interesting. Almost done with this batch of resistors. Still got a lot to go. Heck of a lot. Can you guys hear the music at all? I'm just curious, because I'm using the microphones on my earbuds, my AirPod Pros. Whiskey Mike, yo, the man, the myth, the legend. I figured you'd be recording something right now. You're killing it with those recordings. Sometimes I see you're up at like ungodly hours in the morning when you should be asleep. You can hear Justin just fine. Okay. Yeah, I keep announcing that it's Justin Johnson playing and his playlist, because I don't want this video to get yanked from Twitch for copyright. I don't own this music. Justin Johnson does. Well, they let everybody in here apparently. Yeah. Um, so here's a little tip for anybody who does soldering. You know, you generally want like a little ball of solder that kind of looks like a almost like a Hershey's Kiss, as Nathan has said in the past, which is very apt. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes you get a little bit more. Let's see if I could show you. I mean, it's gonna be real hard to see, but oh god, I don't know. Right in front of my finger, it's not focusing very well, but it's not very well shaped. I kind of had a little bit more than I should, and so I essentially clipped some of it off. So it kind of looks like the start of a Hershey's Kiss, and then it was clipped off, so it's just like flat like that. A little tip to make it look better in the end is just after you're done, take your soldering iron and make sure it's fairly clean, because otherwise you'll just make a bigger mess. But just press it onto there, it'll heat up, and then it'll form itself back to what it needs to be. So, little tip to make it look tidier. So that's what I'm doing right now, because I'm not going to pretend that my soldering is perfect. But as long as there is a good connection and enough solder for it to not, break at the joints, then it doesn't have to look pretty. But I want it to, so. Okay. Your best soldering advice is let someone else do it, yeah? Yeah, it takes a little bit to get used to, takes a little out of you. But I tell you, it's 100% like easier in my mind than making the enclosures. There's always something that goes wrong. My printer doesn't print properly. The ink smears. Something gets in the finish when it's drying, which I have anything that dries, I now put in a big plastic container and seal it so that cat hairs and other things don't get on it. But you still can't control that 100%. Not without having a clean room. Okay. So next up, I got 33K. Just 2 of these bad boys per circuit. You guys got any refreshments on you? What are y'all drinking? My TV decided to stop playing Justin to tell me that there's a software update available. I'm gonna go fix that in just a second. Water is always a good option, especially if you're at work. I'll be right back. Let's see. Okay. Well, but iced tea is good. Now the question is it sweet or unsweetened? Slightly sweet. Okay. Fair enough. I tend to like it without any sugar. I don't know why I'm not much of a sweet tooth. I guess that's why I like those seltzers. You know, not too sweet. So now I'm doing 47K. 47. Good old-fashioned ale of the ginger variety. Lovely. Speaking of a lot of sugar. Oh god, I love ginger ale. But it's a lot of sugar. Deceptively so. Yes, all things in moderation, like sugar, excepting with guitars and pedals. Yellow, violet, orange. I guess I'm missing what you're trying to say. Oh, diet. Oh, got it. Okay. So yeah, maybe that ale of the ginger variety doesn't have that much sugar. If it's the diet one. Yeah, everybody should sleep more. That's very true. I mean, I haven't. Oh, yellow, violet, orange for the 47K. Let's see, are you ready? My god. You are correct. So what Nathan's talking about with the yellow, violet, orange is the color code for the resistor. Now the thing is, since I'm using 1/8 watt resistors, the really tiny ones, it has 4 bands of color. The one that he didn't get to was the gold, which is the tolerance, which is 5% plus or minus. Normally, with at least the resistors that I get, they have 5 bands. So the fact that you got yellow, violet, orange right off the bat with the 4 bands, I'm telling you, you are just too good at what you do, my friend. Let's see. Alright. The legs are getting in the way of my solder. Oh boy. Put a little too much solder on there. Okay. What about you, Ashley? You drinking anything? I feel like you're on call for work, so probably none of that good stuff. Nathan, the resistor whisperer. Yeah. Oh, he's just the circuit whisperer. Okay. Talk to you later, Ashley. Thanks for stopping by. See, you had an electrical apprenticeship. I had an avionics apprenticeship, and electrical was like part of it, but it wasn't the focus. Yeah, we only really dealt with electrical stuff when we had to repair wires and stuff. Because a lot of the times if how do I put this? Basically, like if this was part of an aircraft circuit right here, instead of repairing all the anything that goes wrong on it, we would just yank it out and either throw it away or send it in to a different um, to essentially a different division to so that they can fix it. But like 98% of the time we would just throw it away if something was wrong with it, and that's where your tax dollars go. It kind of sucks, but it's the truth. Exactly. We would board swap, but it was up to us to determine exactly which part of the whole whatever it was we were like. Let's say the temperature sensor systems. Okay, for like the engines. Of that whole system, which component was messing up, then we isolate the component or components, then figure out which part of that is screwing up, and if it was, say, a card like this, just whoosh, swap it out. Because sometimes what would happen, especially if like we needed to get the plane off the ground like right now, like hey they've got a mission to do immediately, we would just take the entire system, the entire box, unplug whatever was behind it and swap that out and just send that to some warehouse somewhere so that they can figure out what's wrong with it. That's called shotgunning parts, and we did not like to do that because then it starts getting expensive. A lot of part swapping in the Coast Guard, yeah. Wow, 20 plus years as a journeyman electrician. Wow. That's crazy. I was a MASH field surgeon. Get it operating. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Well, sort of. It depended on essentially the mission. If it was like the plane came down and they're just doing their routine thing, and they're like, yeah, we won't need the plane for 24 hours. Here are the list of things that are, funky with it. Figure it out. Then we would, do it right. I can't imagine being in the Coast Guard, honestly, like, or Navy or anything on a ship. It's not the life for me. Yeah. Where did I leave off? Okay, let's play the resistor code game. How about 100K? Let's see if Nathan can figure out 100K. Yeah, it's kind of rubbing off on here, so. There might only be two colors. Oh, no. Never mind. No, not quite orange, at least according to this, unless I grabbed the wrong. Brown, black, something else. Boy, these are so rubbed off, I can hardly tell. No, not brown, black, red. The way it looks on here, and I might. Now I'm gonna have to check. Okay, yeah, it looks like brown, black, yellow is what it looks like to me. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me, brown, black, yellow. You were close, Nathan. So the orange is 10K, got it. Cool. 470K. And I'm not going to do this every time, Nathan. You don't have to. But I'm going to do 470K next. Okay, there we go. Surprisingly enough, the only planes that the Air Force has where they actually, repair the individual resistors and whatnot. What did I say this was? 470 is the B-52. I'm not real certain why we still have that one in service. It's ancient. It works, but it's so ancient. Each wing is only held on by two gigantic, I'm talking like massively big rivets. So 4 for the whole plane, holding on the wings. How wild is that? And those wings, because it's so ancient and they wanted to hold, X amount of weight in bombs, the wings are so long. Yellow, violet, black, orange. I see yellow, violet, white, maybe? It's real hard to see on these. They're pretty rubbed out. But I definitely see the violet on there. $470K. So Scott, is that why you say have someone else do it? Because you've done it for 20 years? Time to play Where's Waldo? There you are. Okay, before my soldering iron goes to sleep. Simple and strong, like AK-47. I've had a Kalashnikov pointed at me when I was in the Philippines. It's very strange. We were just walking along in Cebu City, and before we knew it, some dudes just came up and plowed us into the grass, and were pointing AK-47s at us, and we're like, uh-oh, what happened? So we were wondering if they were like part of a, terrorist cell or something. And they were speaking Ilocano, and the engine guy who was with us at the time, it was me and 2 others, a hydraulic guy and an engine guy. The engine guy is Filipino, but he spoke Tagalog, not Ilocano. And so he was able to, essentially brute force his way into figuring out what they wanted. And it turns out that, we were the wrong guys. Sorry about that. We'll see you guys later. Have a good day. And then they just walked off. We're like, what just happened? It was so unreal. It's like, oh, wrong guys. Really sorry for that, guys. See you later. It was so bizarre. And that was when we also stopped in Alice Springs. They knew we were broke. We stopped in Alice Springs, Australia. Not a lot going on there, but it was so dry there that the flies wanted to land around your eyeball because they wanted to drink the moisture from your eyes. I don't know who they were looking for, those guys, but it had nothing to do with, these guys are military, U.S. military, let's get out of here. It had nothing to do with that. I'm pretty sure they didn't care. One way or the other. They're just like, oh, wrong people. But also while we were in Alice Springs, like, I don't like Foster's beer. Foster's, Australian for beer. I don't like Foster's. It tastes like Corona to me, kind of like a weird sour Corona. I could be wrong. It's been forever since I've tried it, but I also don't like Corona. Anyway, while I was there, we went into a bar, a pub, whatever you want to call it, and I guess the locals just didn't like us for whatever reason. They were kind of drunk and in a fighty mood. Anyway, we were minding our own business, but then somebody decided to order us like a round of Fosters, and he gave me one, and I was like, oh, I don't really like Fosters, but I wasn't gonna turn down free booze, so I was like, oh, okay, thanks, whatever. Well, I don't know why, but the Aussies didn't like that. They're like, oh, look at you drinking Fosters, thinking you're an Australian, because what? It's, it's Australian for beer. He must think he's Australian. You ain't nothing like us, I was just sitting there like, what is happening? What is going on? And so, like, we almost got thrown out of an Australian pub. I was like, I didn't even order it. I don't like Foster's. Just because they were in a fighty mood. I don't know. They were just drunk. Drunk people being drunk. Good times. I'm gonna make sure YouTube doesn't. Oh, okay, that's fine. It's gonna make sure YouTube didn't play anything that I could get in trouble for. It's more Justin Johnson. What about you guys? What is the coolest place or the most interesting place you've traveled to where you have like some kind of cool story from? You don't have to tell the story. I just want to know the place. You can tell the story if you want. By all means. I like to know where people have traveled in the world. It's cool getting out and exploring, I think more people should do it. Get a little more cultured, So this is 680K. There you are. And then 1 mega ohm should be the very last one, and I should be done with the resistors. Nolans? You've been to New Orleans, huh? Port Clarence, Alaska. You're stationed there for a year. I don't know where that is, but I've been to Anchorage, and I've also been to Fairbanks. And Fairbanks was the coldest place in the world that I have ever been, and I've been to Antarctica. You were at a festival once and someone gave you something without knowing it. It was literally on cloud 9. Yeah, you'll get that. When I was in Turkey, I actually got roofied. Not to be taken advantage of, but bartenders will sometimes, in skeevier places, they'll put a little roofalin in your beer so that you don't know what you're doing, and so they're like, yeah, that beer was $80. You're like, okay, just so you spend more money, not so that they can, get their jollies off. 70 miles northwest of Nome. Holy cow! I thought Fairbanks was up there. Man. My pull down resistor? I'm unfamiliar with this term. Is that because it's 1 mega ohm? Like the okay, I think I get what you're saying. Yes. I think I get what you're saying. Oh, cool. Yeah, I got roofied in Turkey, and that was a hell of a headache. I don't think I lost very much money during that experience. Just because I was there with other people, and I think they were kind of like, alright, it's time to go, before I could really get myself into trouble, A little bit more. Okay, there we go. Yes, that's what it is, Nathan. I didn't know that's what it was called, and now I do. What about places you guys would want to go? Huh? Usually when I ask the question, like, hey, if money was no issue, money, time, all that stuff, obligations, no issue, where would you go in the world? A huge percentage of the time, I'm talking like 98% of the time, people always say Ireland. Whiskey Mike, Australia. Yeah, cool place. If you go to Sydney, I hear it's like 3-to-1, like 3 women for every guy there. So I made Turkey sound pretty sweet. Well, actually, Turkey is really cool. It really is. Lately, I've been getting into these YouTube videos where you just type in some place around the world, like, I don't know, French countryside or a specific city, like Rome, whatever, and people will do these like 4K really awesome walking tours. They don't say anything, they just walk throughout the town, and then it's like you're walking in the streets of whatever town it is. Yeah, Istanbul's pretty cool. I was mostly in southeastern Turkey, though. Southern Turkey. Istanbul's all the way to the northwest. Um, but because of the quarantine, not quarantine, but the pandemic, maybe we shouldn't travel so much right now. But I've been watching these videos, and it's really cool. You could see the streets of wherever, you know. So those walking tours they're pretty neat. Huh. All the women in Australia dress up to the nines just to go out for a walk. Well, I didn't experience that in Alice Springs, but then again, I didn't really experience very much over there at all because it was just there was nothing where we were at. It's just sand, red sand everywhere. So now that I'm done with the resistors, I'm going to move on to, I don't know. Let's go with the diodes, I suppose. I got one 1N5817 diode in here, and the rest of them are going to be 4148s. If that means anything to you, then great. If not, then I'm putting in diodes. Come on. Huh. That's kind of cool that the women get all gussied up when they go out for walks. I mean, that's different. I like all those different little culturalisms. I think more people should experience different cultures in general, but also, maybe partake in your own cultures. Like, as an American, I'm not real sure what my culture is. Because, we're a bit of that melting pot and whatnot. But you look at someone from, I don't know, Scotland or something, and they'll be wearing a tartan. Basically, like the kind of a kilt thing. And to an outsider like me, it's like, oh, I know they wear kilts. That's a thing they do. Cool. But what I don't know is that all the different no two clans have the same tartan. So all the different weaves and colors and all that stuff, they're all different. I didn't know. They all look the same to me. But it's to help you identify, what clan you're from. And not only that, but they also have different types of like ceremonial knives. They have different types of like crests and things like that. Or oh boy, I'm probably butchering this. But anyway, it's real cool to learn things like that. And I like when people embrace things like that. You watched CMT on accident one time? What's CMT? I'm unfamiliar. I don't generally watch television, so I don't know if CMT is like a channel. Country music television. Okay, I knew what that was. It was... Yeah, got it. Oh, so you're asking if that counts as part of your cultural heritage? I suppose. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of country. There's some pretty good country out there. But what I like is kind of the cultural importance of it. Like, if you listen to any one of the country songs out there, most, I shouldn't say most of the time, I shouldn't generalize like that, but a lot of the times, you know, you hear about, oh, dirt roads, trucks, and tractors, and all that stuff. And those are the songs that I kind of like, you know, roll my eyes at. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. But sometimes you get somebody who actually gets it, or at least in my mind, yeah, somebody who like puts forth more culturalism than just dirt roads, because that doesn't mean anything. Poor countries have dirt roads, you know. You go anywhere in the wilderness and that's dirt roads, and maybe that's what you know they're getting at, and it's just not a connection that I have. But and I'm probably just digging myself into a hole here, but this is just my poor understanding of it. But there's a who is it? I think it's Brett Paisley. I think he's the one who has the album Fifth Gear. And again, I could be wrong, but that album has a lot of really good, you know, country cultural songs that I really like. I don't know. It sticks out from the rest to me, is what I'm saying. I like that. And people like what they like. You like country? Say okay. Let's see. Castle, Romania. I actually have some Romanian friends. They're filmmakers. Their names are Wolf and Mihai. They started Wolf Brothers Cinema. They've been entering their works into like a bunch of film festivals and whatnot, and they've actually been winning a lot of really cool awards. Oh, I totally missed. Yeah, the 5817, Nathan says, is for polarity protection. That's correct, because diodes, they move things in one direction. They are polarized. They have a positive and negative side. And you can brute force a signal back the other way. It just, by that point, the signal will be so big that you're probably destroying a lot in the circuit anyway. But the 4148s will be for clipping, yes. Totally missed that. Man, I don't even have to say anything. Nathan's just on the ball. Because of course he is. He's a consummate professional. It blows my mind every time I talk to you, Nathan, because like I'm not going to pretend that I'm, you know, any good at what I do. I feel like I'm adequate, but you just know so much. And your work reflects it. It's insane how good your stuff is. And I keep telling you, though, like, you need to charge more for your pedals, man. As a consumer of your pedals, I would pay more. But I understand where your philosophy comes from, of Uh, not being as big as say JHS, for example. And so you got to start lower and whatnot. Oh, that'd be cool to see the ruins in Petra. Yeah, in Jordan. Yeah. Yes, Nathan is a respected scholar. You told him that the other day. Okay, so I got me all the diodes. It's looking a little more populated. I guess we'll start with the capacitors. We'll start with 220 picofarads. Pico, really small. And this one takes, oh god, like 6 of them each circuit or something. I'm just going to grab a few of these. Normally with picofarads I'll have either a multi-layer ceramic capacitors, or the monolithic, if you will, small little capacitors, but I didn't have that value, so today I'm going to be using these little greenies. Let's see, how many do I need? 220 pico, so there's 1, 2, 3. Oh, I guess I just need 3. The only danger with using too many of these is just that they tend to be fatter. So you may some of the components may start kind of like bumping into each other a little bit, but it's not really that big of a deal. So there's that. Then that one. Yeah, when I was in... No, that's 220 nano. When I was in high school, back in the mid-2000s, I had AP Art History, and that was a real treat for me because we started obviously back in time with all the different works from like the cave paintings in Lascaux. And so we learned about a lot of the art and influences of ancient civilizations. So Petra, Jordan would be a great place, I think, to visit. I get, real excited with cultures and arts and histories and things like that. I was that weirdo growing up that would watch Discovery Channel instead of cartoons. Who am I kidding? I've watched my own fair share of cartoons out there. Oh, excuse me. I was going to talk and all of a sudden I just started coughing. Heat can be a concern on 9-volt pedals, mostly when you're dealing with old germanium transistors and things like that. But that's from the circuit itself, not necessarily, unless things are really cramped together. Some like JFETs and things like that, they have a metal plate on the back. Let's see if I can quickly grab one here. here you go. This is an L7805CV. But they've got a metal plate on the back there, and that's literally used as a heatsink. That's what that is. So, I don't know, for 9 volts it's not really that big of an issue, but it's more like external factors that would really mess up a pedal. Like those old germanium transistors and whatnot. If you're playing on a live stage outside, and it's a really hot day out and the sun is, baking the actual enclosure of your pedal, then it would bias it funny, and you would start getting that voltage sag and things like that. Nathan says, no on analog audio pedals. Most are only pulling less than 10 milliamps. Yeah. It's a very small amount of power that these pedals use, because it's, you look at the way that a guitar signal works. The strings vibrate. The magnetic field from the pickups, which is below the string, picks up the movements, and then with that there's a very tiny, very, very tiny electrical signal that gets sent. That's why the amps have to amplify it. So it is a very tiny signal. That's why I say it's mostly only an issue with failure. That's why I say it's mostly like outside factors, like if you're doing an outdoor gig, or whatever, and the sun's physically shining on the pedal case. Oh, Indiana Jones is great. The Pedal Show did a good job on this subject recently. The two British dudes, that pedal show? That pedal show? I need to watch those guys more. I've seen conservatively 7 of their episodes. Good stuff. I mostly listen to it because the nature of my work, I download YouTube videos and then just listen to them while I work at the coal mine, that is. Most pedals are 90 milliwatts or 0.09 watts. Yeah, I wouldn't expect these. It kills me when, for example, when we're talking about tone caps, the capacitors on the tone knob of a guitar. You'll read online, oh, you got to get this kind of tone cap because it sounds the best. There are differences in the way that the different types of capacitors, for example, like these little greenies versus the polystyrene versus the poly whatever. There are differences in audio quality, sure, but some of them are so minute, and some say, oh, you gotta get the fatter one, so you gotta, I don't know, 1,000 watt one in your guitar or something. You're like, yeah, this is gonna sound real good. Like I said, those strings vibrating and the magnets picking up that little bit of a signal and making a tiny little, milliwatt signal. You're not going to need a capacitor for 1,000 watts or whatever. They cooked a germanium with a hairdryer and proved this issue. Oh wow. Yeah. Nice. We should go watch that episode. So next up, 330 picofarads. Again, I didn't have A ceramic capacitor, so I'm using one of these greenies. Let's see, how many 330s do I have? Just one? Okay, so this one is 470 pico. Again, there's only one. Cool. Board's getting more and more populated. Sweet, sweet. Then 560 picofarads. Okay, I think those are all the picofarads. Come on. Now for 1 nanofarad. Where'd you go? I saw you. There you are. Yeah. What are you? 47 nano. Okay. There's one. No. Wrong. 4.7. Pardon me, I almost put the thing in the wrong place. 4.7 nano as opposed to 47 nano. How many do I need? Another one. Silicone won't, silicone transistors won't, they're not so temperature sensitive as germanium is. It's one of the reasons why they went over to silicone. Not only is it, easier to find, easier to produce, cheaper, but it's more reliable as well. And not just for applications and pedals, I'm talking just worldwide applications. So I did 4.7. I'll go ahead and get these out of the way. Oop. Yeah. I like the stuff that this Justin kid is playing. Real cool. I've always wanted to learn how to play slide, and there's nothing stopping me other than me. I've messed with it a couple times. It's pretty difficult for me. It's hard getting that. It's a lot harder actually being on the actual note that you're trying to get than you think. Even when you tune it open so that the slide is just, you'll be hitting a chord just with the entire slide on there, on all the strings. Even if you do that, for some reason I have a real hard time just getting it directly on the right note. And that's the very nature of the slide, and that's why guitar has frets. To help people out with things like that. So I guess it's just subverting the way that a fretted guitar works. Thus it is alien to my brain, thus I'm not very good at it. Okay, see you later, Nathan. Go take care of the baby. Thanks for stopping by. Ooh, it's a big glob. So I'm almost actually done with the capacitors. Shouldn't be much longer once I solder these in. Only got a few more values to put on there. And then I'll actually almost be done with populating the PCB, the circuit board. Do the George Thorogood approach and just be bad to the bone. I mean, I could always, like, I just need to do it more is all. I'm to the point with my guitar playing, not that, you know, I'm a pro or anything, far, far, far from it. But I'm at the point where I know, like, oh, that wasn't right, do it again kind of thing. And so with slide, it's like, you know, wrong, 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 wrong. There's the note. Wrong, 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 wrong. There's the note, you know. Like, so I hear it, and I'm like, oh, that's not right. Start over. No, that's not right. No, that's not right. It's like I know better, therefore I must do better. So I don't get very far with it is the thing. It's like, boy, this is hard. Let me just go back to the frets. Okay, where did I leave off? 33 nano, yes. Nano? Yes, I need those. Okay. That's where I left off. 10. Yeah, I've got all the different kinds. Well, I shouldn't say all the different kinds, but I got glass, steel, and brass. I'm not real certain which is the better, or not. There isn't a better. It's just different. But I'm not sure which one I like better. I suppose. That's what I mean to say. I heard Scott from JHS say in one of his videos that he prefers the glass. So this is 47 nano. There should be 3 of these. One. Two. And 3. 3 a.m. a beer bottle and Freebird. My slide skills. You know, that's perfect. That's all you need. That's like the perfect slide dream right there. Why would you need anything else? When I was in Turkey, there was this really cool cat. His name, I'm trying to remember. It was Scott. Oh God, it'll come to me. But anyway, this guy, he had a Takamine. He was really good at guitar. He used to play basically kind of like Jack Johnson. You know, he'd just start playing some stuff and just start singing wackadoo kind of funny lyrical songs just about whatever was going on around him. Real good guitar player. And I played with him a couple times because it's like, well, what else are you gonna do around here? I was like, oh, there's a, someone who actually knows how to play guitar. And can't remember where I was going with this. Oh, slide. Lots of 3 a.m. with a beer bottle slide moments with that guy. Scott Barrier. That was his name. Cool cat. He had a Takamine and a few other guitars. Can't quite remember. But he was good. He could come up with a song in seconds. Like, he'll just start playing something and then he'll just Jack Johnson sing about whatever was going on around him. Almost done with the capacitors. Lots of pedal builders like the metal box film capacitors, which are like this. You've seen them before, undoubtedly. And the reason why is because they sit, flush up against each other if you get the right size. Real convenient. But I don't have all the right values with the ones that I have, so I'm going with the greenies today. Which I believe are also metal film capacitors, but they're not the box type. It is safe to say that I am going kind of slow right now, just because, I'm interacting with you guys. Not that that's a bad thing. This is cool. But, I don't know, I'm just taking a chill pace. Okay, what's going on here? There we go. The fan was blowing too much cold air for that solder joint right there. It was causing a little bit of an issue. Solder didn't want to melt. Which the only reason why that would be an issue, because I can always remove the air, is that you keep the solder iron on there too long, you're liable to ruin the component on the other side. Too much heat. So let's clean up some of these solder joints. You guys ever get those phantom vibrations in your hold on. Don't read into this. Phantom vibrations in your pants because you think your phone is in there and you think you got a message or something, but then you realize your phone is actually right in front of you instead. Yeah, don't read too much into phantom vibrations in your pants. It's not what I meant. All the time, yeah. I remember when cell phones were, first becoming part of pop culture and whatnot. Like, oh, everyone's getting one now, even the kids. I would feel those phantom vibrations. Hardcore. So this is 100 nanofarad. Yeah, nanofarads. Got one over here. One up there. And I think that's that's it for the 100 nano. It depends on who I'm talking to. Yeah. And now for the 220. Come on. Ugh. So this is a case where I completely ran out of a certain type of capacitor. This is 220 nanofarads. It's one of the box film capacitors, but it's a little chunkier than the rest because 220 nano is kind of a bigger one. So I had to go with the greenies on this, and this is a 220 greenie. So if I hold them up for comparison, you can see this is real chunky. So I'm going to have to mix and match the two and see where they go on the circuit board, and wherever there's a little bit more wiggle room, that's where I'm going to put the big greeny chunky one. Wherever there's a little bit less wiggle room, I guess in this case it doesn't particularly matter. I need a third one. These days you wear bib overalls. Oh, your phone's in your chest pocket, okay. You're getting phantom vibrations on your chest, it could be something else. Let's see. Chunky boy. But it's not bothering anything over here, so it's got room. I ain't dead yet. Yeah, there we go. So I'm curious, for everyone who's in the stream now. Oh, I only got 2 people. Bummer. I was gonna ask for a little poll, I guess. Alright, so now that I got those 2 on there, those 2 values, I suppose, should be the rest of the capacitors. Yep. Well, except for electrolytic. Those I like doing at the end. So I guess for the 2 viewers who are here, what kind of pedal do you guys are you guys interested in that I could work on, as a future project? Because I know Nathan has shared with me that fuzzes are kind of like are kind of like the buzzword. He tells me that he tends to sell far more fuzzes than anything, by far. I do have a fuzz in the works. It's going to be... See, I'm very particular about fuzzes, so what I want... I'm not too crazy on the real, like, crazy sounding, super sputtery kind of fuzzes. I like the ones that are like what David Gilmour would play, like a ram's head, big muff kind of thing. I want like screaming solos and stuff like that. So I do have that in the works. But other than a fuzz, what would you guys like to see in the future? I also have a univibe. I actually got the the circuit boards in for the Univibe the other day. I just have to get all the components for it now. And again, I got 11 of them. 10 for the store, 1 for Daddy. You were gonna say Univibe? Let's clip these legs off, and that should be all the capacitors. And then I'll clean up any solder joints that I don't like. I mean, a Univibe is, you know, it's old. It's been around forever. It's hard to get a good one. The Univibe I'm going for is, it's not going to be a digital Univibe, especially because things like the FV1 chip are so hard to find these days. There are other ways around that to get a digital Univibe sound, but I'm going for optical. You got Nathan working on your primary need? And what I mean by an optical Univibe is I'm going to have the photoresistors around an LED, yellow LED. Oh yeah, that black hole symmetry. The what did I? Oh, I can't remember. I was gonna make that joke that I made earlier on the post about the one-line zingers, the pickup lines. I think it's cool that the black hole pedal has what did you say it had? Like distortion on it? Yeah, pickup lines. Most recent fuzz was from Fuzzlord. You know, I've been looking at a lot of the Fuzzlord stuff, and I think they're pretty cool. He tends to... It has fuzz on it? Okay. You know, they tend to do, like, real hard and heavy stuff. So, I mean, I'm not too crazy into it, but their pedals look really cool. And I started watching some of the stuff on YouTube too. They have a YouTube channel. And that guy's pretty cool. Disintegrate, yeah. Oh, that's right. Normally on the PCB boards, I'll have everything kind of like upright and, you know, right next to each other and everything, because like I said in the website, it'll path everything for you, and if there are issues you have to move things around a little bit, but so basically you move everything to where you want it to be or where it's actually convenient. That's why everything is so crammed together like this in different rows and whatnot. But for these electrolytic capacitors, since they have a positive and a negative, the longer one's the positive. The negative has this little white strip right here that's got a bunch of negative, you know, lines, I guess. Normally I just have everything facing up. You know, unless it's a diode, then I'll swap left and right. Because when you print out the diode numbers on there, for example 4148 or something like that, you put a little line on the direction in which it's going, and if you have that line all on the same side, maybe you're covering up the 4, so you just see 148 and you're like, oh shoot, what is that? So I tend to alternate those so I can read it better. But with these electrolytics, I usually have them all facing the same direction. This time I had to kind of alternate them, and that almost messed me up. But It's a good thing I just checked. I put the wrong one in the wrong spot. Positive, negative. Yep, I label absolutely everything so it's easier, and I still mess it up. Go figure. I hope I didn't disturb anybody's lunch with a stream. I went and got me some fried chicken just a little bit earlier. It was pretty yummy. From the local gas station, so I mean, it's pretty good for gas station chicken. Because really around here, we have a Subway, a gas station, another gas station. That's about it. Not a lot of options for to-go food. But the gas station also had these little drinks, so it was kind of a double mission. A Chester chicken? No, it's select choices. Yeah, it's oh my word! I think it's called a crispy crunchy chicken, and the crispy and the crunchy are with K's. It's a type of franchise that gas stations can have, I suppose. It's actually really good. It's kind of like Louisiana spiced kind of flavors. So like if you've ever had Popeyes or something like that, it's kind of the same spices they use in the chicken. Surprisingly good for a gas station. Yeah, I think it's crispy crunchy, and both of those are spelled with K's. Crispy crunchy chicken. It's a bad name, I think, but good chicken. Bought the family pack so that there's plenty left over for my folks when they come home. For those of you that didn't know, my parents live with me. They are saving up, well, not saving up, they're actually paying off a retirement home somewhere down in some gated community in Mexico where supposedly a bunch of retirees are going to go live. It's really nice. They just haven't built the homes yet. They're in the process of building, so the next 4 years they're going to be, paying off this brand new house that's being built for them. And so while they're doing that, they're staying with me so that they can afford it. I can't remember the name of the city or general area of where it's at, but I think lots of Americans are going to be retiring there. Not that that's important necessarily, but it's so much cheaper to live outside the U.S., expatriate somewhere. Like I was looking up houses in, or rather apartments in Turkey, in this place called Kiskilesi, in a city called Mersin. Kiskilesi is literally translated castle by the sea, There's an old, I think it's Byzantine, maybe an old Byzantine castle there, right next to the ocean. Not ocean. I'm sorry, the Mediterranean. You know, you can go visit there. You can go walk around in this ancient castle. It's really cool. And then they have a castle actually in the sea, and the legend was the king of the castle had an oracle, and the oracle said, "Hey, your daughter is going to be bitten by a deadly asp." And so the king was so paranoid that he built a castle in the water as well, so that his daughter can live out there. Well, one day, when they were delivering fruits to the castle out there, I guess an asp got into the basket of apples and eventually ended up biting the daughter and killing her. That's the legend. I don't know if there's, you know, any validity to any of it, but that's why there are two castles there, apparently. Anyway, going back to the story, right there on the Mediterranean, where you can get a full-blown meal for like $2. Okay, you can go on party boats. It's like the Cancun of Europe. This place, lots of tourists go there. It's a party during the summer. It's real quiet otherwise. People do fishing off the coast. You know, everything's super cheap. But an apartment there, and I can't remember the square footage, but it was ridiculous. Like 3,700 square foot apartment. Okay, right next to the water, was a total of like $56,000 to pay off, to buy, to own. 56 grand for 3,700 square feet or something like that. It was incredible. I would live on the Mediterranean for that. So yeah, my folks are essentially going to be doing that, except in Mexico, because everything's much cheaper there. A lot of people don't realize that, like... Actually, let me look this up so I don't get the numbers wrong here. Let's see what the minimum wage in Mexico is. Mexico, not Mexiso. Okay. 141.7. Okay. This is gonna freak you guys out. Pesos, $2. .7. Okay. Get this, guys. The minimum wage in Mexico is 147.7 pesos. Okay. In American dollars, that's $7.37. Okay. Minimum wage, $7.37. Not per hour, per day. $7.37 per day. How crazy is that? So, my parents are getting a house down there because it is cheap. I'm gonna have to turn my fan off for this one. Okay. I had to turn the fan off for that one because it wasn't soldering properly. It wasn't sticking. once I get these last two electrolytic capacitors, then I'm basically done with all the primary components, and then it's just like switches and things like that that are left. You know, a few expats and retired in Mexico. Yeah, it can be really nice, and besides, the food is great. Who doesn't love Mexican food? One thing that kind of drives me nuts over here is that you know, you'll get places like Chipotle or something like that. You know, those restaurants that are like, oh, you buy burritos for like $12 or whatever. Sure, they're good gourmet burritos that you crafted by saying, oh, I'll take some of that and that and that, kind of like a Subway. But rice and beans and all those things like that, they're poor people food is what it is. So it's meant to be cheap. So out here, when we go to a Chipotle's and things like that and buy a $13 burrito, you know, we're just paying out the wazoo. It's ridiculous. So I'll see prices like that. It's like, why are you charging me this much for poor people food? Down there, you know, you'll get a burrito the same size for pennies. And it'll be incredible. It'll be amazing. Okay, so we have now populated the board. Yeah, here we go. We've now populated the board with all the important things, minus the TL072s, because I'm going to do that toward the end. And what's going to go in these three big holes in the middle right there is going to be a toggle switch, because it's going to have essentially two different modes, two different varieties of clipping. And then I'll need the pots, which I tend to do that stuff later. Mostly because it, like this, I can just lay the PCB. There we go. I can lay the PCB flat, and so it's just easier for storage. So I save the pots for later. So we are officially done with the first one. I shouldn't say done. We still got some work to do to it, but we got all the important things on there, all the big things. Cool. Well, I actually have to get going. It's been about 2.5 hours. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I know some of you came and had to go and whatnot, but let's see. Mexican light food. Oh. There are a few authentic Mexican restaurants locally. They're the bomb. Yeah. Mexican food's really good. Tears some people up, but when you walk in, the menu's all pictures, as they don't speak much English. Yeah, you'll get that. It was the same thing when I was in Japan. You know, everything was in Japanese, so I couldn't even read the menu. You know, they would just hand you this menu with, at least the things were numbered. So, you know, numbers 1 through 150 or whatever. And it's like, I don't know what I want. I'll take a 32 and a 64. It's in Japanese, so unless you know a little bit, you're like, am I getting squid? I don't know. Oh, I got, you know, urchin this time. Great. So, yeah. I want to thank everybody who came to hang out. Thank everybody who's watching this later on. Hopefully this video gets up on YouTube. I'm not 100% sure how to do that yet, so I gotta figure it out. But yeah, this was the first Twitch stream for Reza Guitars and Effects. It's been fun. Did one of these. Hopefully I get the other 10 up and going pretty soon. Yeah. So everybody have a beautiful day. Thanks for hanging out. I hope we all learned a little something. And yeah, be safe. Now, how do I end this thing?